मीडिया वेव्स के प्लेटफॉर्म तो खबरां दा लेखा जोखा प्रोग्राम के अंतर्गत आप सबका स्वागत है जी आयां नूं।
Khabran Da Lekha Jokha, June 24th, has been sponsored by Hanif Litigation. Any criminal or regulatory law matters, contact Hanif Litigation lawyer Shahid Hanif, 604-626-3144. Car dealerships unhappy as BC changes EV rebate result. It's a bump in the road for anyone looking to buy an electric vehicle in BC. The provincial government has made significant changes to its EV rebates. On June 18, the province informed car dealerships that it was capping the qualifying threshold for electric vehicles. SUVs and station wagons will be moved from the larger vehicle category to the cars category, and the manufacturer's suggested retail price MSRP cap of the cars category will be reduced to $50,000, part of the internal memo sent to dealerships said. The previous limit to qualify for zero emissions cars was $55,000, as the majority of the EVs on the market are priced at $50,000 and higher. We've just been informed that the province of British Columbia is cancelling the provincial EV rebate of up to $4,000, an email downtown Kia sent to its customer shared. There is a grace period being offered by the provincial government. It says people who are currently in the process of buying a zero emissions vehicle that is no longer eligible for the rebate have until July 17 to have the car they want delivered. Dealers are most concerned that now about 75% of the vehicles that were qualifying before the change will no longer qualify, explains Blair Colley, President and CEO of the New Car Dealers Association of BC. He believes the province move will make it harder for people to afford an EV. The challenge now is an affordability question of putting this opportunity out of the reach for so many families, particularly families who often want the smaller SUVs. It's going to be an interesting time. We promised the government we would let them know of the impacts we are seeing and hearing from consumers who are taking to our dealers. Colley adds there are growing concerns around whether the province will reach its lofty goals of getting people out of gas-powered vehicles. In BC, the target is 90% in 2030 and 100% in 2035. The next largest is 26% in 2026, and the last year we were about 23% in BC, so we were well on the way. Now we are worried we might not actually be able to make that 26% target. He says the government's move is disappointing.
खास तौर दे उत्ते ਉਹ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਚੱਲਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ 0% ਐਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਤੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ BC ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ $55,000 ਦੀ ਕੀਮਤ ਤੱਕ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਖਾਸ ਛੋਟ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਸੀ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਿ ਹੁਣ ਡੀਲਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਛੋਟ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੂਬਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਟੌਤੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 4,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ। ਔਰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਆਮ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਣਾ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਉਠਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ, ਪਰ 75% ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਚਾਰਜ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਚੱਲਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਲ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਫਰਕ ਪਏਗਾ, ਜਿਹਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਨਿਰਾਸ਼ਾ ਦਿਖਾਈ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਗਾਂਹ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅਸ਼ਨ।
Overnight highway lane closures begin in Langley. Watch out for overnight lane closures along Highway 1 in Langley this week. As part of the widening project along the highway between 216th and 264th Streets, the province says some lanes will be shut down overnight for construction beginning June 24th. The eastbound fast lane will be closed Monday to Friday from 9 p.m. until 5:30 a.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 9 p.m. until 7 a.m. The westbound fast lane will be closed Monday to Friday from 8:30 p.m. to 5 a.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 8:30 p.m. to 8 a.m. A construction zone speed limit of 80 km per hour is in place and enforced. Obey all signage and be aware that roadside workers are present, the province said in a statement Monday. BC's Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure Rob Fleming claimed last month that widening the highway will provide relief for traffic congestion in the Fraser Valley. This is important progress in our plans to improve and widen Highway 1 through to Chilliwack so we can improve travel and transit services for people in the Fraser Valley, said Fleming.
ਹਾਈਵੇ 1 ਦੇ ਤੇ ਕੰਮਕਾਰ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ 216 ਸਟੇਟ ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 264 ਤੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਫਾਸਟ ਲੇਨ ਆ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਐਲਾਨ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਨੇ। ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ ਮੰਤਰਾਲਾ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਨੇ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਿਕ ਹੈ ਇੱਥੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਘੱਟ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਜਲ ਸੰਭਾਲਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਾਈਡਨਿੰਗ ਆ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਹ ਕੰਸਟਰਕਸ਼ਨ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਅੱਜ ਤੋਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਨਿਰਧਾਰਤ ਸਮੇਂ ਲਈ ਬੰਦ ਰਹਿਣਗੀਆਂ। ਸੋ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਦਲਵਾਂ ਰੂਟ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਖਿਆਲ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਏਗਾ ਔਰ ਸਮੇਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ।
Father thanks Surrey Vigil for support, demands justice after daughter's killings. A vigil attracted a crowd to a park in Surrey over the weekend to honor a woman who died after a violent attack in her Port Kells home a little over a week ago. Thank you to all who showed up last night for Tori's vigil. Thank you for all the love, support, and stories shared out, Tori said her father, Aaron Dunn, in a Facebook post after Saturday's event at Surrey's Band Regional Park. Was nice to meet so many of Tori's friends and to be with my family. Tori would have loved to be there with us all, he added. The releasing of the butterflies was amazing. Photos from the vigil shows butterflies landing on some of the gas. Tori Dunn died after an attack in her home the night of June 16 in what the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team is calling a senseless act. Police have yet to name the suspect who was arrested near Tori's residence on 182nd A Street in Port Kells shortly after the attack, only saying he remains in custody on an unrelated charge. Aaron says his 30-year-old daughter was killed by a stranger while she rested in her home. He is demanding answers and urging people to hold the broken justice system accountable. An online fundraiser for the Dunn family had raised over $16,000 by Monday morning, far surpassing its original $7,000 goal. We cannot begin to understand how this could have happened to someone as kind and compassionate as Tori was, a message from the family on the GoFundMe page said. Tori was the owner of a local landscaping business, Done Right Landscaping, with big aspirations. She was warm-hearted and lived her life in such an altruistic way, he continued. These funds will be used towards Tori's memorial service as well as pay for out-of-pocket costs incurred by the family during the investigation. A memorial service for Dunn is reportedly planned for June 26 on Wednesday in Surrey.
ਪੋਰਟ ਕੈਲ ਵਿਖੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਹੀ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਟੈਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਮਾਰੀ ਗਈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਔਰਤ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਪਾਰਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਉਠਾਇਆ ਕਿ ਕਿਸ ਪ੍ਰਕਾਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਹੈ ਉਸਨੇ ਫੇਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ। ਔਰ GoFundMe ਪੇਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਸ ਦਾ ਟੀਚਾ 7000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਸੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 16000 ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਮਦਦ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਸਵਾਲ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਉੱਠਿਆ ਕਿ ਆਮ ਨਾਗਰਿਕ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਬਿਹਤਰੀਨ ਨਾਗਰਿਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਘਟਨਾਵਾਂ ਵਾਪਰਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਹ ਇੱਕ ਫੇਲਡ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਹੈ।
Canada to announce tariff plan for Chinese EV battery imports following US and Europe. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland is expected to announce this morning a plan for potential tariffs to protect Canada's electric vehicle supply chain from unfair Chinese competition. Freeland and International Trade Minister Mary Nugg are making a joint announcement this morning following moves this spring by both the United States and Europe to hike import tariffs on Chinese-made EVs. Before Canada can impose new tariffs, an anti-subsidy investigation must be completed by the Canadian International Trade Tribunal. Currently, the only Chinese-made EVs imported into Canada are Teslas made at the US tech giant's Shanghai factory. China is a bigger player in Canada when it comes to batteries and battery components for EVs industries. Canada has invested heavily in over the last 4 years. In 2021, almost 80% of all lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles globally came out of China, and the International Energy Agency says almost 60% of global EV sales are now Chinese-made. Accusations that China has spurred into its own EV industry through unfair subsidies led to both Europe and US retaliating this spring. US President Joe Biden announced in mid-May that he's hiking tariffs on Chinese EVs from 25% to 100% this year, though there is only one Chinese EV currently available in the US. Biden also announced a hike to tariffs on lithium-ion batteries and some other clean energy products, including solar cells. The European Commission is still completing its anti-subsidy investigation but announced 2 weeks ago that it will impose provisional tariffs of between 17% and 38% on Chinese-made EVs as of July 4th. That plan could change as both Europe and China agreed to negotiations on the matter over the weekend. Chinese branded EVs now make up 8% of European market compared with 1% in 2019. Europe says its preliminary findings confirm Chinese EVs are benefiting from unfair subsidization. Many Chinese EVs are substantially cheaper than similar European-made models. Where Canada lands on tariff will depend on the consultation process. A government source speaking on the condition they not be named because they were not authorized to speak publicly told the Canadian press a brief consultation period usually occurs before imposing precise tariffs. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has reportedly said since the US announcement that Canada was watching very closely and deciding what it will do. On June 12, the day the European Commission announced its provincial tariffs, reporters on Parliament Hill were told that Canada was working on its own plan. The status is that we are working on it and I've been very clear about this, she said. This issue is one that we are concerned about. She also already is talking to the Canadian industry. Typically, the process of launching an anti-subsidy investigation starts with a complaint from the industry. We are invested deeply and heavily in the electric vehicle supply chain, she said. Since 2020, Canada has attracted more than $46 billion in investment for 13 electric vehicle battery and battery component manufacturing projects. Ottawa and the province have jointly promised up to $53 billion in return, including tax credits, production subsidies, and capital investments.
ਪਿਛਲੇ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਵਾਧੂ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਲਗਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ ਔਰ ਵਧੀ ਸੀ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆਇਆ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸਮੇਂ ਦੀ ਉਡੀਕ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਕਦੋਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵੀ ਟੈਰਿਫ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਵਾਧਾ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਚਾਈਨਾ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਬਣਾਈਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਬਿਜਲੀ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਗੱਡੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਬੈਟਰੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁਤਲਕ ਆਖਰਕਾਰ ਚ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਜੀ ਇਹ ਫੈਸਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਐਲਾਨਿਆ ਹੀ ਜਾਏਗਾ.
Canadians throw parties, gather with friends to cheer on Oilers in Stanley Cup final. The Edmonton Oilers may not be on home ice when they try to clinch the Stanley Cup against the Florida Panthers on Monday night, but screams of support will resound across Canada from ringside watch parties, bars, seniors' homes, and ordinary living rooms. Might cheer them on every single game of the session, said Derek DeMone, an Oilers fan in Sydney, Nova Scotia, who will be watching at home with his sons aged 24, 14, and 12. I haven't felt like this since I was a young boy, I'll tell you that. DeMone's home is something of a shrine to his favorite team, with Oilers jerseys, blankets, and pillows decorating the inside and several Oilers flags flying outside. In a city where he's usually outnumbered by Toronto Maple Leafs, Montreal Canadiens, and Boston Bruins fans, DeMone says locals have come to associate him with the team he backs. If I'm not wearing an article of Oilers, whether it's a hat or a hoodie, then I'm not out in the public, he said with a laugh. In Edmonton, thousands of Fans have been packing Rogers Place for both home and away games during the playoffs, while thousands more watch giant screens outside the arena. One of those outdoor parties is where Mama Stanley, whose real name is Mary Lowen, will be dressed as the Stanley Cup, cheering on the team while also posing for photos with fellow fans. People are saying, let's fly to Florida. No, I want to be with the people in my kingdom, Lowen said Saturday when speaking about her plans for the final game. Just northwest of Edmonton, where residents of Seniors Home have been posting Oilers fan videos to TikTok, another release is planned for Monday afternoon. Some of the videos, which feature residents of Everett Gardens in St. Albert dancing and wearing jerseys and face paints, have garnered tens of thousands of views. Our residents love the Oilers. They're all in the spirit. They like to get dressed up. Some watch in their suits. Some watch it together on their screens, and Lori Carey, the home's recreation therapist. One of our residents like to watch it in his suite, but whenever the games end and the Oilers do win, he actually opens his door and yells "Woot woot" down the hall. Oilers head coach Chris Noblot's hometown of Imperial, Saskatchewan, will be hosting a watch party at the local rink on Monday night with a special treat: leftover brisket from Rockend, the rink, a party held on Saturday night to celebrate the anniversary of the facility getting new concrete floor. The town's chief administrator, Jocelyn Freeman, who is Noblot's cousin, said they are expecting a good crowd in the town of 372 for the deciding game of the series. I texted Chris the other night. She said Sunday, I said, I'm glad you couldn't be here for rocking the ring, but I'll throw you one hell of a party when you bring the Stanley Cup home. The Stanley Cup final has been a nerve-wracking affair for both sides, with the Oilers losing the first 3 games of the best of 7 series before rebounding with 3 wins of their own. The turnaround began when they trounced the Panthers 8-1 in Game 4. Another win on Monday would make the Oilers just the 5th team in NHL history to win a best 7 playoff series after trailing 3-0. If they win the cup on Monday night, Dimone said he's already told his sons he's planning a victory drive around Sydney after the game. I'll maybe message some of my friends that like the Oilers and see if we can get a little mini parade on the go, he said.
ਸਟੈਨਲੀ ਕੱਪ ਦੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਗੇਮ ਦਾ ਚਰਚਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਆ, ਲੋਕੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਨੇ। ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨ ਟੀਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਉਸਦਾ ਫਾਈਨਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਇਲਰਸ ਦਾ ਹੋਣਾ, ਔਰ ਉਮੀਦ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਗੇਮ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿੰਗ ਹੋਏਗੀ। ਔਰ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹਾਕੀ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰਸ਼ੰਸਕ ਨੇ, ਪਸੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਸਟੈਨਲੀ ਕੱਪ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ आएगा।
Good luck, Oilers, और इसी के साथ इजाज़त दीजिए। Goodbye. With a complex legal matter, dealing with complicated criminal and regulatory law matters, call Shahid Hanif of Hanif Litigation, 604-626-3144. If you are investigated by police or being charged with criminal offense under the criminal code, or a licensed professional such as a doctor, pharmacist, engineer dealing with disciplinary actions, or you're a victim of any regulatory law, contact lawyer Shahid Hanif of Hanif Litigation.
ਗੁੰਝਲਦਾਰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਮਸਲਾ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਰੈਗੂਲੇਟਰੀ ਲਾਅ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਤੇ ਮਾਮਲਾ, ਤਾਂ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ ਹਨੀਫ ਲਿਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਸ਼ਾਹਿਦ ਹਨੀਫ ਨੂੰ 604-626-3144 ਤੇ। ਪੁਲਿਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਰ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਤਫਤੀਸ਼, ਔਰ ਕ੍ਰਿਮੀਨਲ ਕੋਡ ਦੇ ਅੰਤਰਗਤ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਹੋ ਚਾਰਜ, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਹੋ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ, ਫਾਰਮਾਸਿਸਟ ਜਾਂ ਇੰਜੀਨੀਅਰ, ਔਰ ਡਿਸਪਲਿਨਰੀ ਐਕਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਰੈਗੂਲੇਟਰੀ ਲਾਅ ਦੇ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੋ ਵਿਕਟਮ, ਤਾਂ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਲ ਹਨੀਫ ਲਿਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਪਾਏਦਾਰ ਵਕੀਲ ਸ਼ਾਹਿਦ ਹਨੀਫ ਨੂੰ 604-626-3144 ਤੇ।